Which of these is a hazard warning line? You need to know the difference between the normal center line and a hazard warning line. If there's a hazard ahead, the markings are longer and the gaps shorter. This gives you advance warning of an unspecified hazard. You're waiting in a traffic queue at night. How can you avoid dazzling drivers behind you? Use the parking brake only. Use the foot brake only. Use the clutch with the accelerator. Use the parking brake with the foot brake. In queuing traffic, your brake lights can dazzle drivers behind you. If you apply your parking brake, you can take your foot off the foot brake. This will deactivate the brake lights. During which maneuver may you remove your seat belt? Reversing. Hill start. Emergency stop. Driving slowly. You may remove your seatbelt while you're carrying out a maneuver that includes reversing. However, you must remember to put it back on again before you resume driving. In windy conditions, which activity requires extra care? Using the brakes. Moving off on a hill. Turning into a narrow road. Passing pedal cyclists. Always give cyclists plenty of room when overtaking them. You need to give them even more room when it's windy. A sudden gust could easily blow them off course and into your path. You're traveling behind a bus that pulls up at a bus stop. What should you do? Accelerate past the bus. Watch carefully for pedestrians. Sound your horn. Pull in closely behind the bus. There might be pedestrians crossing from in front of the bus. Look out for them if you intend to pass. Consider how many people are waiting to get on the bus. Check the queue if you can. The bus might move off straight away if no one is waiting to get on. If a bus is signaling to pull out, give it priority if it's safe to do so. When should you especially check the engine oil level? Before a long journey. When the engine is hot. Early in the morning. Every 6,000 miles. An engine can use more oil during long journeys than on shorter trips. Insufficient engine oil is potentially dangerous. It can lead to excessive wear, mechanical breakdown, and expensive repairs. Most cars have a dipstick to allow the oil level to be checked. If not, you should refer to the vehicle handbook. When should you flash your headlights at other road users? When showing that you're giving way. When showing that you're about to turn. When telling them that you have right of way. When letting them know that you're there. You should only flash your headlights to warn others of your presence. Don't use them to greet others, show impatience, or give priority to other road users, because they could misunderstand your signal. Which of these is needed before you can legally use a motor vehicle on the road? An appropriate driving license. Breakdown cover. Proof of your identity. A vehicle handbook. Using a motor vehicle on the road illegally carries a heavy fine and can lead to penalty points on your driving license. You must have a valid driving license for the class of vehicle you're using. Paid the appropriate vehicle tax. Proper insurance cover. What should you do when you're driving in snowy conditions? Brake firmly and quickly. Be ready to steer sharply. Use sidelights only. Brake gently in plenty of time. In snowy conditions, be careful with the steering, accelerator and brakes. Braking sharply while you're driving on snow is likely to make your car skid. What action would you take when elderly people are crossing the road? Wave them across so they know that you've seen them. Be patient and allow them to cross in their own time. Rev the engine to let them know that you're waiting. Tap the horn in case they're hard of hearing. Be aware that older people might take a long time to cross the road. They might also be hard of hearing and not hear you approaching. Don't hurry older people across the road by getting too close to them or revving your engine. When can you park on the right-hand side of a road at night? When you're in a one-way street. When you have your sidelights on. When you're more than 10 meters, 32 feet, from a junction. When you're under a lamppost. Red rear reflectors show up when headlights shine on them. These are useful when you're parked at night, but they'll only reflect if you park in the same direction as the traffic flow. Normally you should park on the left, but in a one-way street you may also park on the right-hand side. You park at night on a road with a 40 miles per hour speed limit. What should you do? Park facing the traffic. Park with parking lights on. Park with dipped headlights on. Park near a street light. You must use parking lights when parking at night on a road or in a lay-by on a road with a speed limit greater than 30 miles per hour. You must also park in the direction of the traffic flow and not close to a junction. How can you reduce the damage your vehicle causes to the environment? Use narrow side streets. Brake heavily. Use busy routes. Anticipate well ahead. By looking well ahead and recognizing hazards in good time, you can avoid late and heavy braking. Watch the traffic flow and look well ahead for potential hazards so you can control your speed in good time. Avoid over-revving the engine and accelerating harshly, as this increases wear to the engine and uses more fuel. Your car gets a puncture while you're driving on the motorway. You get it onto the hard shoulder. What should you do? Carefully change the wheel yourself. Use an emergency telephone and call for help. Try to wave down another vehicle for help. Only change the wheel if you have a passenger to help you. Park as far to the left as you can and leave the vehicle by the near side door. Don't attempt even simple repairs. Instead, walk to an emergency telephone on your side of the road and phone for help. While waiting for help to arrive, stay by your car, keeping well away from the carriageway and hard shoulder. What's the shortest overall stopping distance on a dry road at 60 miles per hour? 53 meters, 175 feet. 58 meters, 190 feet. 73 meters, 240 feet. 96 meters, 315 feet. This distance is the equivalent of 18 car lengths. Try pacing out 73 meters and then look back. It's probably further than you think. The driver of the car in front is giving this arm signal. What does it mean? The driver is slowing down. The driver intends to turn right. The driver wishes to overtake. The driver intends to turn left. There might be an occasion where another driver uses an arm signal. This may be because the vehicle's indicators are obscured by other traffic. In order for such signals to be effective, all drivers should know their meaning. Be aware that the left turn signal might look similar to the slowing down signal. You're on a motorway. There's a contraflow system ahead. What would you expect to find? Temporary traffic lights. Lower speed limits. Wider lanes than normal. Speed humps. You're waiting to emerge left from a minor road. A large vehicle is approaching from the right. You have time to turn, but you should wait. Why? The large vehicle can easily hide an overtaking vehicle. The large vehicle can turn suddenly. The large vehicle is difficult to steer in a straight line. The large vehicle can easily hide vehicles from the left. Large vehicles can hide other vehicles that are overtaking, especially motorcycles, which may be filtering past queuing traffic. You need to be aware of the possibility of hidden vehicles and not assume that it's safe to emerge. You're traveling on a road that has speed humps. What should you do when the driver in front is traveling more slowly than you? Sound your horn. Overtake as soon as you can. Flash your headlights. Slow down and stay behind. Be patient and stay behind the car in front. You shouldn't normally overtake other vehicles in areas subject to traffic calming. If you overtake here, you may easily exceed the speed limit, defeating the purpose of the traffic calming measures. Why will a motorcyclist look round over their right shoulder just before turning right? To listen for following traffic. Motorcycles don't have mirrors. Elton helps them balance as they turn. To check for traffic in their blind area. When you see a motorcyclist take a glance over their shoulder, they're probably about to change direction. Recognizing a clue like this helps you to anticipate their next action. This can improve road safety for you and others. Why should the junction on the left be kept clear? To allow vehicles to enter and emerge. To allow the bus to reverse. To allow vehicles to make a U-turn. To allow vehicles to park. You should always try to keep junctions clear. If you're in queuing traffic, make sure that when you stop you leave enough space for traffic to flow into and out of the junction. You're driving on an icy road. How can you avoid wheel spin? Drive at a slow speed in as high a gear as possible. Use the handbrake if the wheels start to slip. Brake gently and repeatedly. Drive in a low gear at all times. If you're traveling on an icy road, extra caution will be required to avoid loss of control. Keeping your speed down and using the highest gear possible will reduce the risk of the tires losing their grip on this slippery surface. You arrive at an incident. There's no danger from a fire or further collisions. What's your first priority when attending to an unconscious motorcyclist? Check whether they're breathing normally. Check whether they're bleeding. Check whether they have any broken bones. Check whether they have any bruising. At the scene of an incident, always be aware of danger from further collisions or a fire. The first priority when dealing with an unconscious person is to ensure they're breathing normally. If they're having difficulty breathing, follow the DRABC code. When will you feel the effects of engine braking? When you only use the handbrake. When you're in neutral. When you change to a lower gear. When you change to a higher gear. When you take your foot off the accelerator, engines have a natural resistance to turn, caused mainly by the cylinder compression. Changing to a lower gear requires the engine to turn faster, and so it will have greater resistance than when it's made to turn more slowly. When going downhill, changing to a lower gear will therefore help to keep the vehicle's speed in check. What does this DVSA sign mean? Compulsory maximum speed limit. Advisory maximum speed limit. Compulsory minimum speed limit. Advised separation distance. The sign gives you an early warning of a speed restriction. If you're traveling at a higher speed, slow down in good time. You could come across queuing traffic due to roadworks or a temporary obstruction. What does this sign mean? Bus station on the right. Contraflow bus lane. With flow bus lane. Give way to buses. There will also be markings on the road surface to indicate the bus lane. You mustn't use this lane for parking or overtaking. On a vehicle, where would you find a catalytic converter? In the fuel tank. In the air filter. On the cooling system. On the exhaust system. Although carbon dioxide is still produced, a catalytic converter fed to the exhaust system reduces the toxic and polluting gases by up to 90%. You're traveling in the left-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you react to traffic joining from a slip road? Race the other vehicles. Move to another lane. Maintain a steady speed. Switch on your hazard warning lights. Plan well ahead when approaching a slip road. If you see traffic joining the motorway, move to another lane if it's safe to do so. This can help the flow of traffic joining the motorway, especially at peak times. What does this sign mean? No route for pedestrians and cyclists. A route for pedestrians only. A route for cyclists only. A route for pedestrians and cyclists. This sign shows a shared route for pedestrians and cyclists. When it ends, the cyclists will be rejoining the main road. What's the main hazard the driver of the red car, arrowed, should be aware of? Glare from the sun may affect the driver's vision. The black car may stop suddenly. The bus may move out into the road. Oncoming vehicles will assume the driver is turning right. If you can do so safely, give way to buses signaling to move off at bus stops. Try to anticipate the actions of other road users around you. The driver of the red car should be prepared for the bus pulling out. As you approach a bus stop, look to see how many passengers are waiting to board. If the last one has just got on, the bus is likely to move off. What does this sign tell you? No cycling. Cycle route ahead. Cycle parking only. End of cycle route. With people's concern today for the environment, cycle routes are being extended in our towns and cities. Respect the presence of cyclists on the road and give them plenty of room if you need to pass. You're at an incident. What could you do to help a casualty who's unconscious? Take photographs of the scene. Check that they're breathing normally. Move them to somewhere more comfortable. Splash their face with cool water. If a casualty is unconscious, you need to check that they're breathing normally. Look for chest movements, look and listen for breathing, and feel for breath on your cheek. You shouldn't normally travel on the hard shoulder of a motorway. When can you use it? When taking the next exit. When traffic is stopped. When signs direct you to. When traffic is slow moving. Normally, you should only use the hard shoulder for emergencies and breakdowns, and at roadworks when signs direct you to do so. Smart motorways use active traffic management to ease congestion. In these areas, the hard shoulder may be used as a running lane when speed limit signs are shown directly above. What does the term blind spot mean? An area covered by your right-hand mirror. An area not covered by your headlights. An area covered by your left-hand mirror. An area not visible to the driver. Modern vehicles provide the driver with a good view of both the road ahead and behind using well-positioned mirrors. However, the mirrors can't see every angle of the scene behind and to the sides of the vehicle. This is why it's essential that you know when and how to check your blind spots, so that you're aware of any hidden hazards. How would age affect an elderly person's driving ability? They won't be able to obtain car insurance. They'll need glasses to read road signs. They'll take longer to react to hazards. They won't signal at junctions. Be tolerant of older drivers. They may take longer to react to a hazard and they may be hesitant in some situations, for example, at a junction. How should you drive in areas with traffic calming measures? At a reduced speed. At the speed limit. In the center of the road. With headlights on clipped beam. Traffic calming measures such as road humps, chicanes and narrowings are intended to slow drivers down to protect vulnerable road users. Don't speed up until you reach the end of the traffic calm zone. What does the curved arrow on the road mean? Heavy vehicles should take the next road on the left to avoid a weight limit. The road ahead bends to the left. Overtaking traffic should move back to the left. The road ahead has a camber to the left. In this picture, the road marking shows that overtaking drivers or riders need to return to the left. These markings show the direction drivers must pass hatch markings or solid double white lines. They are also used to show the route that high vehicles should take under low-arched bridges. You're being followed by an ambulance showing flashing blue lights. What should you do? Pull over as soon as it's safe to do so. Accelerate hard to get away from it. Maintain your speed and course. Brake harshly and stop well out into the road. Pull over in a place where the ambulance can pass safely. Check that there are no bollards or obstructions in the road that will prevent it from passing. What does a flashing amber beacon mean when it's on a moving vehicle? The vehicle is slow moving. The vehicle has broken down. The vehicle is a doctor's car. The vehicle belongs to a school crossing patrol. Different colored beacons warn of different types of vehicle needing special attention. Blue beacons are used on emergency vehicles that need priority. Green beacons are found on doctors' cars. Amber beacons generally denote slower moving vehicles, which are often large. These vehicles are usually involved in road maintenance or local amenities and make frequent stops. How should you dispose of a used vehicle battery? Bury it in your garden. Put it in the dustbin. Take it to a local authority site. Leave it on waste land. Batteries contain acid, which is hazardous, and they must be disposed of safely. This means taking them to an appropriate disposal site. You service your own vehicle. How should you get rid of the old engine oil? Take it to a local authority site. Pour it down a drain. Tip it into a hole in the ground. Put it in your dustbin. It's illegal to pour engine oil down any drain. Oil is a pollutant and harmful to wildlife. Dispose of it safely at an authorized site. You're approaching an unmarked crossroads. How should you deal with this type of junction? Accelerate and keep to the middle. Slow down and keep to the right. Accelerate and look to the left. Slow down and look both ways. Be cautious, especially when your view is restricted by hedges, bushes, walls, large vehicles, etc. In the summer months, these junctions can become more difficult to deal with, because growing foliage may further obscure your view. What's the purpose of these road markings? To ensure children can see and be seen when crossing the road. To enable teachers to have clear access to the school. To ensure delivery vehicles have easy access to the school. To enable parents to pick up or drop off children safely. These markings are found on the road outside schools. Don't stop or park on them, even to set down or pick up children. The markings are there to ensure that drivers, riders, children and other pedestrians have a clear view of the road in all directions. You're about to drive home. You can't find the glasses you need to wear. What should you do? Drive home slowly, keeping to quiet roads. Borrow a friend's glasses and use those. Drive home at night, so that the lights will help you. Find a way CF getting home without driving. If you need to wear glasses for driving, it's illegal to drive without them. You must be able to see clearly when you're driving. Other drivers may sometimes flash their headlights at you. In which situation are they allowed to do this? To warn of a radar speed trap ahead. To show that they're giving way to you. To warn you of their presence. To let you know there's a fault with your vehicle. If other drivers flash their headlights, this isn't a signal to show priority. The flashing of headlights has the same meaning as sounding the horn, it's a warning of their presence. A trailer must stay securely hitched to the towing vehicle. What additional safety device must be fitted to a trailer braking system? Stabilizer. Jockey wheel. Corner steadies. Breakaway cable. In the event that the trailer becomes detached from the towing vehicle, the breakaway cable activates the trailer brakes before snapping. This allows the towing vehicle to get free of the trailer and out of danger. What does this sign mean? Route for trams only. Route for buses only. Parking for buses only. Parking for trams only. Avoid blocking tram routes. Trams are fixed on their route and can't maneuver around other vehicles or pedestrians. Modern trams travel quickly and are quiet, so you might not hear them approaching. Your tire bursts while you're driving. What should you do? Pull on the handbrake. Brake as quickly as possible. Pull up slowly at the side of the road. Continue on at a normal speed. A tire bursting can lead to a loss of control, especially if you're traveling at high speed. Using the correct procedure should help you to stop the vehicle safely. You're driving over a level crossing. The warning lights come on and a bell rings. What should you do? Get everyone out of the vehicle immediately. Stop and reverse back to clear the crossing. Keep going and clear the crossing. Stop immediately and use your hazard warning lights. Keep going, don't stop on the crossing. If the amber warning lights come on as you're approaching the crossing, you must stop unless it's unsafe to do so. Red flashing lights together with an audible signal mean you must stop. You take the wrong route and you're on a one-way street. What should you do? Reverse out of the road. Turn around in a side road. Continue to the end of the road. Reverse into a driveway. Never reverse or turn your vehicle around in a one-way street. It's illegal and could even cause a collision. If you've taken a wrong turn, carry on along the one-way street and find another route, checking the direction signs as you drive. Stop in a safe place if you need to check a map.